Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a look at r/Am I the Porthole? We got an interesting mix of stories today, it seems. So if you would like to judge some big old gaping portholes with me today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay, so it is late, it is Saturday, so if I seem a little less energetic than normal, it's just because I'm trying to be quiet and not wake up my offspring and cause a problem for myself at this time of night. But anyway, first story was shared by Historical Cow 101. Am I the porthole for refusing to allow my friend's 6-year-old stepkid in my apartment and ending the friendship over it? Interesting. I, 29M, had a friend, Y. We were friends over 10 years. He's been dating M for about a year, and she has a 6-year-old daughter. Y decided to take her as his stepdaughter. My girlfriend 27F and I have been together for 6-ish years, living together for 2, and we don't enjoy being around kids that much. And Y knows this. I mean, fair enough at the end of the day. The issue started when Y and M began bringing her daughter to every group plan, movies, restaurants, hangouts, without asking if others were okay with it. None of my friends have kids besides them. On top of that, they don't control her behaviour. Oh no, absolutely not. That would drive me nuts. She grabs off phones and stuff without permission. What? Tries to grab and chase our pets in our apartment and invades personal space while they do nothing. Even before the main conflict, they would ask everyone to adapt our plans so their daughter could be included. For example, suggesting we watch kids' movies, go to places without alcohol, or generally shift plans to be more child-friendly, even when we wanted to do other stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, I think you can absolutely have friend groups where some have kids and some don't, and you do sort of activities then that, you know, maybe the people who have kids can bring them to, and then other times you'll do stuff where they're gonna have to get a babysitter if they want to come, and you can kind of make it fair in that way. But this person's kid sounds like a little nightmare, and yeah, even having kids of my own and being someone who doesn't really do many activities where I can't take them with me because I don't have the luxury of having family or friends that could look after mine, I still wouldn't want to hang out with her, to be honest. It's like, Jesus, try and parent your kid if you're all going to insist on bringing them everywhere, you know? Because of all of this, my girlfriend and I stopped wanting to include them in plans at our apartment. I told Y clearly that we don't want kids in our home. He kept arguing and trying to convince me I was wrong for not liking his stepdaughter, instead of respecting our decision. Things escalated when my girlfriend organised her birthday party at our apartment and wrote in the invitation that she wanted no kids at her party. Y messaged me saying that that was rude and that a sane person wouldn't write that. Why? I've been to a few events where people have been like, no kids, thank you. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to have to try and find a way around that. You know, and by trying to find a way around that, I mean trying to find someone that they can go and stay with so I could attend, like a family member's wedding who said that they didn't want any kids. So my kids went to their dad's for that evening. You know, it's fair. Not everyone really likes kids or wants to have to like water down their activities to be child appropriate, and that's okay. I defended my girlfriend, telling Y it's her party, our home, and we can set whatever rules we want. He also criticised my girl personally, saying she's hostile and makes things uncomfortable for everyone. At that point, I snapped. I felt he hugely disrespected my girlfriend. I also felt pressured and tired of the constant arguments and lack of boundaries. I told him I didn't want to continue the friendship. In the end, our mutual friends sided with me and also decided to distance themselves from Y and M. I bet they probably were so glad that somebody took that first step and they were all following along like, yes, finally. So he pretty much lost all of his friends for this. Am I the porthole? For some reason this bit did not record properly. I must have leaned too far around the wrong side of the mic because it sounded all kinds of weird. So I'm just going to re-record it again. But basically all I said was, no, absolutely not the butthole. And listen, I understand how tricky it is when you have kids and trying to get babysitters and, you know, trying to have a life and feeling like you still have a life and a social life. I've said quite often, I have a non-existent social life because my youngest is always with me. And I do get how isolating that can feel. However, this OP's friends clearly, or friend should I say, and his girlfriend, clearly are not bothering to correct any of these poor behaviours of this kid. The other friends have obviously all decided that they're fed up with it too, or they wouldn't have taken the leap when the OP did. They were obviously just waiting for someone to take that first step. And you know, if the OP's friend isn't going to put in sturdy boundaries for the kid of this is how we behave when we're out, we don't do this. We don't take people's property without asking, you know, and just make sure that their kid is at least to a point well behaved, then no, I don't blame the OP for not wanting to have the kid there. I also want to side-eye the guy, the friend, because why on earth would you want to take your kid to very adult parties where there's going to be a lot of alcohol, I'm assuming, where they've already said they don't want kids at that party, so it's clearly not a child-friendly event. So no, I don't think the OP is the butthole. I think that the friend's entitled. So then Peak Penguin says, not the butthole. Y and M just want to not be inconvenienced. Exactly. They want to bring the kid everywhere and let her be everyone else's problem instead of actually being parents. And then Ice Seeker says, the irony of your friend thinking it's rude that your girlfriend organised a no kids party when they've been imposing the child on everyone, causing discomfort and stress on top of all of that. He is going to regret losing his friends if he and his girlfriend break up. Not the butthole. Yeah, exactly. Like, don't get me wrong as well. I understand that no kids are perfectly behaved. God, I can pick out moments in time where mine have been absolute little turds on some sort of day out somewhere, because sometimes kids will be kids and just be turds. As I know I was when I was a kid now and then. But I think it's a bit different from normal childhood, just a normal child just having a bit of a day where they're just being a bit naughty and a bit pushing boundaries, and what sounds like a consistent pattern of the mother and the stepdad just not doing anything about the bad behaviour and just letting them behave like that. I could not. That would drive me mental. Okay, next post. UnluckyBit6839 says, am I the butthole for cutting off my son after his mum passed away? Yikes, that is a yikes of a title. Goodness me. I have been my son's dad since he was 1. He is 27 now. I was friends with his mum for years before she got pregnant and the bio dad took off. I was around helping her with stuff and one thing led to another and we got together. It wasn't really planned or anything, it just happened. Her and I cared for each other deeply. It wasn't some huge romantic story. We were a partnership. We got married when Mark was 3 and I adopted him when he was 5. Tammy took care of Mark, me, and my house. I worked and paid for everything. It was a good life. I had never wanted kids, but I loved Mark and gave him everything I could. Not just material goods. I was there for him growing up. I attended all his extracurricular activities that I could. I taught him how to ride a bike and how to change his oil. We took him on vacations. I made sure that when he graduated from university, he was debt-free. He was always a good kid. University changed him. He became distant. He would call to talk to his mum, but not me. It turns out he met a girl who had been adopted, and she had baggage she decided to share with him. He had contacted his biological father, and I was being displaced. Mark was everything to Tammy, and she supported him in everything. As his mum, I would expect no less, but it still hurt to be cut out of his life. When Tammy got sick, Mark and I would see each other when he came to see her, but we would barely talk. When she passed away, I saw him at the funeral and then only heard from him to settle her estate, which was not much. She had a very small life insurance policy that she left Mark. Everything else was mine. Her bank account only had the money that we budgeted for her. There wasn't much in it because she had been subsidising Mark's life since he graduated. Like clockwork, every month I would deposit her share of our budget and most of it went to him. Tammy and I had a separate life insurance policy that we set up. It was more substantial than the other one. We originally set them up in case anything happened to us, the other could have money to live and take care of Mark. I was the beneficiary since I was paying for it. Now that his mum is gone and not helping pay bills, Mark is calling me for help. I said no. I don't blame you, considering he completely shunned you from his life for no good reason whatsoever. Like, I understand having someone whispering in his ear and whatnot, but he was an adult at that point, you know? I said he had the money from his mum's life insurance. Everything else is quite literally mine. Even the car she drove was leased by me. He is upset with me and said that I obviously had never thought of him as a son if I was willing to do this. I told him to ask his bio dad for help since that's who he wanted in his life. His wife, Sarah, the girl from university, called me and said that I would be cut out of their lives and that I would never see my grandchildren. They don't have kids yet, but I suppose they are planning on a family. I told her that I was okay with that, and I am. I miss Tammy, but I'm okay. I have my dogs and my job. I see my sisters and their kids and grandkids. I'm involved in their lives. So, am I the butthole for cutting off financial support to a full-grown man with a job and a wife? No, and I hate to say this because I know Tammy is gone and, you know, it's not becoming to talk about someone once they have passed on, but I feel like Tammy was doing a little too much for Mark, and she is now grown him into someone who feels entitled and also someone who can't quite stand off their own back, you know, on their own 2 feet. And that, by the way, editing me here, by the way, is not me trying to slag off Tammy in any way, shape or form. Obviously, though, if she was still on this side of the veil with us right now, and I read that she is propping up Mark's life as an adult and bailing him out all the time, I would say that that is probably not something you should be doing, and he needs to stand on his own 2 feet. So of course it would be very disingenuous of me not to point out that Tammy probably did him a disservice by doing that. Do I think she probably did it with the best intentions? Yes, she may have been overcompensating for the fact his dad was not around, but still, obviously it was a problem. So unfortunately, I feel she has kind of conditioned Mark into being the type of guy who just thinks he's entitled to the help and also can't actually take care of himself. And now obviously he thinks that OP has to pick up that torch as it is. And yeah, absolutely not. He didn't want anything to do with the OP for super long after the OP had literally brought him up, given him everything, done as much as he could for him when he didn't have to. And then that's how he thanks him. Just, it's so silly that he thinks that he can do that and like completely just push the OP to the side and then come back and be like, give me money, please. Like, you are a grown man, a married grown man. Look after yourself. So, down in the comments, Puzzled Award 2236 says no. Think about it. We will love you if you give us money and hate you if you don't. Who needs conditional love like that? Exactly. Let them go. It's none of their biz how much money you have or received. And to be honest, when I read that the OP's wife had planned for that money to be to live off and take care of Mark, why does Mark need taking care of? He is an adult. He doesn't need taking care of, and he already had some money from her other life insurance. He got what he got. He needs to stand on his own 2 feet now. So then Senator Bink says, exactly. I'll pretend to like you as long as you pay me to is not a good look. So, next post, Visible Working 8318 says, Am I the butthole for telling my husband no? My husband, 40, and I, 33, are having a disagreement. His daughter, 15, had an ill-fitting hand-cut tube top on that she wore to school one day. Is a tube top really appropriate for school? Then again, it might mean something else somewhere else, but a tube top here is kind of like, literally it covers your boobs and that is it. So maybe it's not the same thing, because that would not be appropriate for school or a 15-year-old, to be honest. Here, anyway. I told her it was time to get rid of the shirt and asked her to turn it in. He said no, take it off right here and give it to me. To which I said, no, you don't have to do that. Go to your room and bring it back. Yeah? What the hell is he doing, asking her to take it off right there and then in front of her parents? No. That is creepy. The look on her face when he asked was the look of someone who was uncomfortable, and she shook her head no. She went to her room and brought the shirt back. He says I disrespected him and undermined him. I said no, I was protecting his teenage daughter from abuse. What do you all think? Yeah, no, absolutely. That is not an okay thing to tell a 15-year-old girl to do. Absolutely not. Ugh. That is giving me the heebie-jeebies. I don't like that at all. Edit, she was wearing a bra underneath. That's part of his justification for why it was okay. She wouldn't have been completely nude. Oh yeah, let me just go run out in the street in my bra and see what the coppers think of that, shall we? Yeah, no, that's not okay. Especially with a 15-year-old. That is gross. So, Repeat Often Derp says, ask him if he would be comfortable making that same demand in front of a CPS worker. Yeah, exactly. Ask him why if he's so invested in humiliating his daughter and trying to see her topless. And then Lindsay Lego says, yeah, like, it seemed like daughter was willing to give up the shirt without much pushback, so why in the world did he think that was necessary? That is not necessary, and that is really creepy and just gross. Don't ever ask a don't ever ask anyone to do that, to be honest. Like, it feels like a humiliation ritual / with just pure creepiness, and I don't like that at all. And good on the OP for calling him out and being like, absolutely not, she can go in her room and get changed. That is not right. So, next post, Steege Larson says, am I the butthole for calling out house guests who didn't ask to stay? My daughter and her husband just moved in with me to save money. They were living in a town that his family lives in, his hometown, so his family is sad to see him go. His parents followed after them the weekend they moved back. That was cool. I figured they were just staying close to them for the weekend to say a last goodbye and hang out a bit. What? What, they come to the OP's house without asking? The audacity! No! I got home on Wednesday after work and found out that they had invited themselves to stay in my house. I don't really know them. I've only met them 3 times or so, and this is only the 2nd time they have been to my house. They joked about how they would stay at my house instead of getting a hotel. I didn't know what to say, so I went to bed early that night and told my daughter I wasn't happy and wanted to know what their plans were the next day. They slept in the lounge and slept in until 10 a.m. Oh my goodness. The lounge is in the centre of the house next to the kitchen. We were all tiptoeing around until they got up. I had to speak to them about boundaries, and though they nodded and made the right sounds, I got the message that they felt like I was being unfair. They even said that they would let me stay at their house if it was the other way round, and the mother started crying about how much she was worried about her fully grown adult son and was fretting for him. Well, then why did they not invite them to stay at her house? She explained that she thought I'd understand because I'm a mum too. She's a boy mum, isn't she? And not a mum who has a boy, but a boy mum, you know, there's a difference. I explained that I don't see things the same way they do, and I felt like I lost control of my home. They fully took over the kitchen the night before, and not to mention again, they were not invited. They invited themselves. I don't know what happens from here, but I don't see this being the last issue I have with them. I want to support my daughter and her husband, but I never agreed to let his parents use my house to visit him, or anything at all. Is this situation outrageous on their part, or am I inhospitable and mean? No, this is outrageous. I'd be fuming if someone just tried to invite themselves around my house. Absolutely not. And then to stay in the living room and sleep in till 10 a.m, essentially inconveniencing everyone else. Like, what? There are many entitled people in these posts today, goodness me. Update, sorry, to clarify for all those asking, the parents went back to their hometown yesterday after I spoke to them. When I said in the original post, I don't know what happens from here, I meant I don't know if they will try and cross that boundary at some time in the future. Oh good, because I was concerned that you hadn't told them where to go. But I'm ready and clear with my response. I spoke to daughter and son-in-law about boundaries. There are no overnight stays. Let me know if there are visitors coming. If that is respected, we can spend time with his parents, but they can't take over my house, and they are not staying. For the people on here saying I'm the butthole for not speaking up straight away, I know that. I agree, and I'm pissed off at me too. I know what my boundaries are, but I don't always enforce them straight away, and I need to get better at doing that. Also, you'll see I used paragraphs. Okay, was it not formatted with paragraphs the first time or something? Did the OP have to edit? I will say I get so annoyed when there's no paragraphs at all when I'm reading a post, just because obviously it makes it really hard to like read it all and it to flow well. But in the same breath, I hate the posts that are set out where the person has put every single sentence as a separate paragraph. So it's like a sentence, double space, another sentence, double space, another sentence. I don't know why. I have no idea why, and I'm sure it's just me being silly, but I hate it. So, down in the comments, Helen Damnation says, I certainly wouldn't be creeping around trying not to wake them in the mornings. No, I'd have been bashing pans together. If anything, you could be running the coffee grinder, the blender, and anything else that makes a noise. Then sit near them and put on breakfast television. Practice your opera singing. You don't sing opera? Well, that's why you need to practice. And then Pilot Environmental 46 says, and your daughter and her husband are the ones who must fix this, not you. His parents were way out of line, that much is indisputable. Your son-in-law in particular, but that's between him and your daughter. Either way, this isn't your problem, it's their problem to fix, and they need to fix it for you. Yes, they do. I just find that so weird, just like inviting yourself to stay at somebody's house. How peculiar. I mean, to be honest, even if I'm invited to stay at somebody's house, I'm most likely to say no, to be quite fair. Okay, so I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. If you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, there's your initiation into the Governor Void. Welcome. Don't forget to leave an offering of a comment for Big L. What can you tell me today? Tell me what you've done today. Today, it's Saturday today. Well, it's Saturday night now. I sat in the garden for a bit because it was actually sunny and I had a new parasol that I had to try out. And then I decided to try waxing my legs. I don't normally wax them, I'll just shave them because honestly, waxing just seemed like a bit of a problem. But it was a bit of a problem. It was the hard wax, the one that you like heat up and then you don't use like a strip or anything. You just kind of like whack it on, wait for it to dry a little bit and then pull it off. I spilt some on the carpet and then obviously because I'm not used to having to contortionism myself like that, I also then, when I finally stood up, it took me about 2 hours by the way, when I finally stood up I was like, oh my god, I have fucked my back. My back is ruined. Like I felt like I had the posture of a prawn. So that was my day. How was yours? Anyway, whatever you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.